thyroid health. My mum's got an underactive thyroid, but it's mainly predominant in females, but also males. My Uncle Grant, actually, he's got hypothyroidism as well. Now, 90% of hypothyroid cases are actually an autoimmune condition called Hashimoto's. And 70% of the hyperthyroid problems is autoimmune, and that's called Graves. And you might be one of these people that suffer with that. You might just have hypothyroidism, or you might have hyperthyroidism. They're different from Graves and Hashimoto's. Do your research. I'm going to tell you quite a bit just now. But this really is just to give you a little snippet for you to then go away and do your own research. You have to be a complete master. If you have a health problem, you need to research it to within an inch of its life. And I know if I was diagnosed with something, I would be obsessed with getting to the bottom of why, what, how, studies, the research, everything to make my condition better. Because food can literally heal you, or it can make you worse. And in this case, absolutely on the money. So, some of the symptoms. In fact, just to explain where the thyroid is. The thyroid is like, so if you run your finger down, we don't have the Adam's apple, do we? The Adam's apple is there underneath in the wee soft tissue bit. If you put your finger in there, it's round about in there, that wee soft bit. And it's about sort of this wide and sits kind of in the base of your neck. And what happens is the pituitary gland produces thyroid stimulating hormone, TSH, and I say that trickles down here into the thyroid, and that stimulates your thyroid to go, right, you bugger, come on, let's go. Your thyroid is responsible for your metabolism. And if you have a hypothyroid issue, then you're going to have a whole list of symptoms, and some of them are this. So some of them are these. If it's a hypo condition, you don't produce enough thyroid hormones, and your thyroid controls over 100 enzymes in the body that control are an essential component, let's say, of different chemical reactions in the body. So without all these chemical reactions and signals being produced from place to place, you're going to feel fatigued, you're going to feel flat, you're going to feel often depressed. And that's just the psychology of it, never mind the physical or the physiological symptoms, of which there are many. So if you have a hypo problem, you have a problem absorbing proteins, which explains why you get brittle nails, you get dry and brittle hair, you've got hair loss predominantly here. You have a real problem absorbing proteins. You might get really, really skinny legs, skinny limbs. Most of the time you've got a belly, so you've got this belly, but you've got skinny arms, skinny limbs. And that's because you can't absorb the protein, and you can't maintain, or you even struggle to build in terms of protein. So lean muscle mass, you get a lot of wastage, and you become catabolic. Talked about that a lot. So loose skin, particularly under the chin. So you might be quite turkey-chinned, turkey-necked here. That's maybe you. Cold feet, depression, your libido. You've just lost your sex drive. Now, I have to say, girls, right, women to women, we've got a lot of shit to get through, don't we? Like, let's be honest. We've got perimenopause. We've got the menopause. Most of us, or a lot of us, have had bairns. You know, that, like, what the fuck? Who said that? Who even decided it was going to be us? So between those three things, and then we've got adrenal fatigue, we've got a lot of the domestics to put up with. I said to Leo the other day, no, he was talking about something. I says, do you rather be a man or a woman? He went, a man. I went, yeah, I can see why. Definitely. So your libido, not only that, you've lost your sex drive. What if you're in a relationship? What if you're in a really close and comforting relationship, and your partner absolutely adores you, and you've actually lost it. It's going to be horrible. Anyway, digestive problems, maybe even constipation, crave carbs, hair loss, dry hair, brittle nails, brittle hair, weight gain, particularly around your abdomen, your belly, cold feet, no energy, feeling just generally miserable. Now, look at you lot laughing. Sex, congenital sex, sex, stress. Where did that come from? Who even mentioned sex? That was you lot. Stress is a bugger. So when you've got adrenal stress and adrenal burnout, this can actually have an impact on your thyroid health as well. It's all connected. And we've talked about the adrenals. I've done a really great video on stress and adrenal fatigue and what that means. So please go into your coursework and watch that. That was funny. So here are some of the reasons why you can have a hypo. In fact, no, before we go, here is a hyperthyroid problem. Here are some of the symptoms, right? So you've got hair loss again, bulging eyes, protruding eyes. Now, we had a client on here probably about a year ago, and she'd done a before and an after of her eyes. She's got she had a hyperthyroid problem, and you should have seen the difference between like before FLB and the duration of FLB. Incredible. Big bulgy eyes. Goiter, so like an enlarged thyroid, like sometimes you can even see it quite bumpy. A heat intolerance, really, really poor sleep. Weight loss, so the opposite of hypo, weight loss. Appetite going through the roof, you know, you could eat loads. A regular cycle, and I don't mean the bike. Menstrual cycle. Muscle weakness, anxiety, you might even feel really, really nervous. You don't even know why, you're just kind of like living on your nerves a bit. Anxiety, depression, mood swings, and sweating, excessive sweating. So a clear difference between hypo and hyperthyroid problems. But some of the reasons, let me come back to now hypo, because it's such a huge problem. But in most cases, listen, this is why I'm doing this tonight. In most cases, a hypothyroid issue, not the autoimmune one, not Hashimoto's, but actually just hypothyroid, a lot of the time it's secondary to something else. But because, you know, your doctor's not had time, they don't even really get the whole nutritional piece and how important that is. They don't really join the dots for you, because actually it's not a consultation when you go to your doctors. They just take a blood test, and half the time they just take the thyroid stimulating hormone. They've not even tested free T4 and free T3. They've not done the full panel. So it's just part of the story, and it's too bitty. And I'm here to tell you that so many of my clients have actually changed their condition to be, actually, they don't have a thyroid issue. They're no needing thyroxine anymore. And I'll tell you why in a minute. Hold on. So it might be an iodine problem or an iodine problem. Now, fortunately for you, I've thought about all this. This is why I invented these. I say commissioned. I invented them. I come up with this blend. What's happening to my words tonight? My cleanse product and my recharge product both have sea greens in. From the sea. You're laughing. From the sea, seaweed. A lot of people are, they don't like shellfish, or they're maybe allergic to shellfish. And therefore, how do you get iodine then? So it would be a real struggle unless you did supplement. Unfortunately for you lot, I know you don't eat a lot of that, although it's on our meal plans. Seaweed and shellfish from the sea, really important. It might also be that you come from, say, America or something, where the soils are really, really depleted. We're spoiled here in Scotland. In fact, our soils are probably the best anywhere. Maybe the Scandinavian countries as well. But if your soils are really depleted, then that's going to cause that too. Also, an estrogen problem. If you are estrogen dominant, you might not even know that yet. But say you've got heavy periods, bloating, crampy, you've got PMT, you've maybe been diagnosed with having too much estrogen. That could also be a problem because what it does is it blocks the receptors on the thyroid gland. So once estrogen, and it could be environmental estrogen as well, so Roundup and glyphosate and soy and corn and all that crap that we don't eat, but we used to eat, that blocks the receptors on the thyroid and causes all the bother in the world. Because remember, it's an estrogen mimicker. So too much estrogen in the body will down-regulate the thyroid. Bear that in mind. It also competes for the actual receptors. So if you've got too much estrogen, it blocks the the receptors, and also competes too much for them. And it's a dominator, so it dominates the situation. You also need bile. So if you've got a gallbladder problem or you don't produce enough bile, and if you've got, we've talked about this before, bloating, belching, burping, farting, all of that stuff going on, all the good stuff, and you've lost your libido, what have we got to do with you? Your poor partner. Maybe you don't have a partner for all these reasons. I'm just joking, by the way, I'm just kidding. The T4 to T3 conversion, which we will get to, needs bile. Now, just hang fire with that. Now the liver, here we go. So once that trickles down, the thyroid stimulating hormone trickles down, stimulates the thyroid to produce a T4 hormone. And that T4 hormone has to become T3. So T4 is inactive, can't do anything. It has to have an iodine molecule stripped off it, and it becomes T3. And that conversion, most of it, 80% of it happens in the liver. So if you've got cirrhosis of the liver, if you've got fatty liver, if you've got a liver that's just, you've caned it because of the shitty food that you've been eating, the alcohol that you've been eating, the GMO stuff in there, the toxins that build up, the fat, then it's going to have a real hard time to convert the T4 to T3 because it's a lot, 80% of it. The other 20% happens through the kidney. So if you've got kidney problems, it could be an issue too. So that conversion has to happen through the liver. So imagine if you've got all these liver problems. And look down. If you're carrying a big gut, you better believe you've got liver problems. Reversible, absolutely. Nonetheless, you do. And you're here to clean it up, right? You're not here for, just because you're wanting to feel like me. You're here to clean these problems up. So you've got inflammation, perhaps, somewhere on the thyroid. You've got inflammation on the liver. So remember, this hyperthyroid problem could be this goiter. So then the conversion's happening in the liver, so there might be inflammation in there too. So without the conversion, how is the feedback signal back to the thyroid supposed to happen? It's broken somewhat, and we need to fix it. But you might have been diagnosed with having a thyroid situation or problem, but actually it's the liver. You find that once you clean the liver and you support the gallbladder, so if you've got bile production issues, gallbladder formula, please research it. It's like an ox bile will help support your gallbladder, or will help support the liver to break down fats and convert that T4 to T3. So, bear that in mind. Now, if you have a hyper problem, you would avoid iodine. You would not take iodine because your iodine makes the T4 and the T3. And if it's a hyper problem, then you don't want any more iodine to keep producing the T4 and the T3. So if I was you, if you're thinking about these and you've got hyper, I would not do that. Talk to your doctor, ask him about sea greens, and well, just get a conversation around it. Get a conversation around your own problem. You don't want any more iodine. You also want to avoid the purified bile salts that will help if you've got no gallbladder or if you've got a bile problem. the whole thing between the iodine and the bile formula. It'll speed up T4 to T3. You don't want that. So that's hyper. Sorry, I'm not trying to confuse you. I'm probably confusing myself here. Right. Done, done, done. Yeah, great. And you'll find that actually when you do support the gallbladder and the liver, particularly the gallbladder, if there's been a problem and you start taking purified bile salts, you actually are able to like lubricate the colon. So a lot of these constipation problems maybe that you've had, because remember, if it's a low thyroid or hypothyroid issue, everything slows down. Your metabolism's slowing, constipation, tiredness, fatigue. You're like, ooh, no wonder you've got no energy. So actually, once the liver and the gallbladder are healthy, you could start functioning properly and start these things moving. A backup, all that shit, quite literally, in your body can slow everything down. So MCTs, which the supplements have got in them too, and you're cooking with coconut oil as well, that will help. Right, great. Good stuff. Okay. What else did I want to tell you? So checks. Here are the checks that I would, encourage you to ask for. Now, like the liver, see when you go to get a liver function test, your liver has to be really close to not packing in, but really pretty damaged to show up in a liver function test. My dad was an alcoholic and his liver function test always come back fine, like normal. And I say it all the time, we talk about this, just to get you to understand how real this is. Now, my dad was drinking a little bit of water, whiskey every single night for like hundreds of years. And getting pissed with it, I don't mean like 2 or 3, because that would still be enough, but no. And his liver was fine. So your thyroid's the same. So you have to really look at the symptoms, couple that with the blood panels that you get back, and speak to your doctor and have a consultation. And hopefully these lives give you a lot of content to actually have that conversation. I'm not here to say I know everything, because I don't, far from it. I'm not an endocrinologist, I never will be. But I know enough to help you have a conversation with people. That's really, really important. And that's what's missing. See, these conversations, they're missing. People actually feeling like, do you know what, I feel slightly confident. I could go and speak to my doctor. And now that I know some stuff, you probably know more than your doctor. Let's be honest. Not all the time, but some of the time. I'm going to get that wee slogan. Not all the time, but some of the time. So checks, thyroid stimulating hormone, and most of them will do that anyway. So that's the first check. You need some of them do a T3 test and a T4, but you want to ask for the free T3 and T4. So between the 3 of them, that's the test to ask for. So if you come away dissatisfied and you still think you've got all of these symptoms, but your thyroid test comes back and they haven't done these 3 tests, because some of them just do the TSH test, that's not enough. Get all of them done. Okay? Great. Good. So here are some of the things you could do for a hypothyroid issue. In fact, it's hypo and hyper. So fasting. Obviously, if you've got inflammation, you've got a thyroid that's not happy, you're not eating, fasting calms inflammation down. And that's one of the things it's known for. So obviously fasting is going to help you. Absolutely. So fasting is great. Selenium. Now, selenium is found in lots of our foods on your meal plan. Selenium is also essential. If you have an autoimmune condition, you must be taking or eating lots of selenium. And that's both for hypo and hyperthyroid problems. Lots of selenium. Vitamin D. Vitamin D is one of the best or the best anti-inflammatories we know about. So vitamin D, we've got it. Boot Up is our formula. It's high dose, it's brilliant. 2,000 international units per capsule. And also probiotics. You need to fix your gut health, particularly if you've got autoimmune. So remember, now we're joining up the dots. So we've talked about leaky gut, we've talked about microbiome. We know that gluten the protein that's found in wheat has destroyed your intestine somewhat, and it probably caused you leaky gut. And you've got autoimmune, so that's telling me that yes, your gut lining has been damaged, and through that has got the protein contained within wheat, let's say gluten. And gluten mimics another enzyme that's in the thyroid. So what it does is gluten will attack, or your antibodies in your body will attack the gluten, but because the gluten looks like this enzyme in here, it attacks this as well. So actually, it all goes back to destroying the gut. And what's destroyed the gut? Wheat, oats, barley, rye, all that stuff, GMO, glyphosate, toxins, everything that we're not doing on this plan. Do you get it now? Do you get it? Do you get why I say you need to follow the meal plans? I hope so. So probiotics will help you fix your gut. Also, my meal plans. Everything that I'm telling you about. The supplements. Please, don't just buy the supplements once. Long game, right? I hope you get that too. People think, oh yeah, we're going to we'll buy these because they look great. And I love the bottles, and well, we're on FLB, why would we not buy them? And you get them once, and then you stop taking them. That's bonkers. That's like having a bath when you're 18 and never having a bath again in your life. What would you do that for? Okay. So did you get it? If you've got a thyroid problem, do not take extra iodine. Definitely not. Avoid bile salts, because that speeds everything up. And it's already fast. It's already producing too much. Okay, I think, hold on a wee minute. No, I did do a wee bit more on iodine actually. So iodine is a trace mineral. Every single cell in your body needs it. You get it from shellfish and seaweed, sea greens. KSM66 has got studies and research to back up what it does. It can make claims. It's in here. Now the Japanese have probably 100 times what the recommended daily dose is, and their thyroid health is amazing because of the sea kelp. They eat a lot of shellfish. So, an interesting fact for you. A couple of things it does though. Iodine helps detoxify mercury and lead and fluoride and bromide. Or bromide. What it does is it's like a chelator as well, isn't it? It minimises the damage and helps extract heavy metals and toxins from your body. So it's great for detox. It also shrinks cysts in the breast, the ovary, the uterus, and stops nodules becoming bigger. It helps regulate estrogen dominance, what I was talking about before. So if you've got estrogen dominance, heavy periods, bloating, PMS, all that good stuff, and you know you've got estrogen dominance, iodine can offset that too. It can, here's an interesting one, it can help reduce the size of skin tags. Now skin tags, I don't know if you know this, skin tags are actually an insulin resistance issue. If I see skin tags on somebody, I know there's blood sugar issues there. And I know somebody that has literally hundreds of them, right? And to the eye you go, how do you have that conversation though? Unless you're on FLB, because I can have that conversation with you a lot easy. But how do you have that conversation with somebody you actually want to help, but is male and has no intentions of having anything to do with FLB, but I can help? I don't know how I do that. And also helps scars too. So if you've, post-surgery, I'm going to do it. If you can get some iodine on the scar, it can actually help your scar look much more bonnier. Now I'm going to have some of you might have this, like what do you call it? an anchor, they call it, isn't it? So it's down and along. So I'm going to put iodine and I'll let you know what it's like. Is that it? Yep. Is that beneficial? Is that helpful? So somebody says, got a few skin tags. So if you've got the skin tags and you've got the belly and you crave carbs, in fact, that's one of the things that tells you you've got a hypothyroid problem, when you crave carbohydrates as well as a lot of other symptoms. You know, people just sometimes crave them because they're greedy buggers, let's be honest. But it's not that. It's coupled with lots of these other symptoms. I'm trying to make you laugh. I hope I am. Yeah. Hypothyroid problem, cleanse, recharge. You should be all over them. Activate to help acidify the stomach. Because remember, the acid reflux, the GERD, the bloating, the farting. Our formula is amazing. I don't know if you're on FLB and you're bought into it. I do not know why you would not be taking all 4 of the supplements together. I'm looking at you blankly. So people do, don't they? They go, why? Why are you doing that?